And like we like to say at this time, good morning, Warrior Nation, and welcome to the playoff edition. Hopefully, more than one playoff edition of KBL Game Day right here on Idabel's first 96.7 KBEL. This is Cornelius Neal. We're here live in First State Bank Studio. We got Coach Kincaid with us. And I know you've heard it all week, man, but hey, congratulations on making the playoffs. And, let's get right into it. How have things been this week with the team and with the staff and just the general vibe of things around school?
It's been amazing. The staff. We've been pleased with the effort that we've been getting from our guys at practice all week. Our kids have been amped up. Taking it serious. It's all about getting these seniors one more game. And just continuing to push for one more game for those guys. They've been crucial for us in our program so far. They've had a great career as it is. In their 3 years, but in this year where a lot of change happened, throughout their sports career, they took it head on, man, and they've been great leaders. And so it's all about getting them one more game, and we're excited to go out and compete with them.
Absolutely. I mean, this point here, how can you not take things seriously? So that kind of leads us to my next question. So that the team's been able to, I guess you would say, flush away the feelings from getting beat last week by a team like Lincoln Christian.
Yes, sir. Yeah, I mean, that's one of those things where we went up to the challenge, and I don't believe in moral victories, but there were some in that game. I feel like we showed that we can play with them. I know the score doesn't say it, but wrapping up, make a couple tackles here and there, get off the field third and fourth down, but we forced them to third and fourth down quite a bit. So I feel like we're in a good position to play with the best of the best, and so. It's playoff time, so it's our opportunity to go out and prove that, obviously by by being a 1 seed in the playoffs.
Yep, let's get right into that. Tonight we're taking on the Cascia Commandos up in Tulsa. Hopefully a lot of you can make that trip, and let's get right into it. What are your impressions of them when you look at them on video?
Yeah, they're a good team. Cascia Hall's really disciplined, well coached. Coach Medina up there's legendary coach up there has done a great job with that program for a while now. Their quarterback's their all-time leading passer there. He's throwing it around a bunch. I would expect them to try to air it out a little bit. Also, wouldn't be surprised if they lined up in some heavy sets and try to run right at us. Also, though, wouldn't be surprised, but that's not their game. That's not what they want to do. They want to put it in the air, and so. Hopefully our athletes can be disciplined enough in the back end and make plays, and we can create some pressure up front with our defensive line and front seven to go make some plays. They're a good football team. Defensively, they've done a great job in their district up north of shutting a lot of people down. 7-14, 21, 26 points in that district up there, but that district doesn't have the athletes that we have down here. And, so I think that'll be the question mark of how they try to play our athletes. Do they respect our speed, or do they do what they've been doing with everybody else and hope that they get their sideline to sideline in the box?
Right. I looked at them on film, and I even, kind of kept track of that run plays versus pass. It seems like they are fairly balanced on offense, but the advantage does seem slightly to go more towards the pass. Of course, the quarterback, his name is Barrett Mullen, all-time leading passer at Cascia Hall, over 7,000 yards in his career. Likes to spread the ball out to his receivers, his tight ends, and he will take off running with it, scramble and get that first down wherever necessary. Let me get your thoughts on the running backs. I know they number 16 and number 5. I think you see number 16 more. Number 5 is mainly for defense, but they do rotate them in and out there. And then their receiving core. What have you seen with their receiving core?
Yeah, so the running backs, are nothing. I'm not going to say they're nothing special because obviously, you're playing at this point in the year, you're a special team. So, their running backs are good players. But I think their best 2 offensive players outside of the quarterback are number 4, their receiver in the slot, and number 6, their outside receiver. 6 takes a lot of shots. 4 is the intermediate guy, short guy. He'll take some shots down the field too. He's fast. Number 4, Fisher Lay. If I'm saying that right, LAI.
Yeah, that's what I thought as well.
He has an offer to Tulsa as an athlete. So, he's a good kid. But, if I'm being honest, I think our 4 is better. and they're 6. I think our 6 is better, just looking at it like that in that perspective, I think our guys are better. And, I think we just have to go out and execute tonight and show that.
Absolutely. Seems like they definitely want to get the ball in number 4's hands a lot, because passing it to him, I think I've seen they've ran some stuff where they optioned it to him. And so I definitely would anticipate seeing the ball in Fisher-Lay's hands quite a bit. And then their offensive line, what do you think about their offensive line? It didn't seem like they're just huge up front, but those private schools, they don't recruit the 6'6", 300-pound guys. They're a little more compact, but they get the job done up front.
Right, absolutely. We've seen bigger offensive lines throughout the year. Stigler was bigger. I think we've seen much better offensive lines throughout the year. They're a good team, but Holland was able to get home on some sacks versus them early in the year. Verdigris was able to get home on some sacks. I think our defensive speed and pressure that we're able to put on the quarterback, I think we'll be able to get home for a few sacks tonight, or at least force some pressures and maybe some errant throws, and maybe go up and pick a couple of them off. I think if we get 2 to 3 turnovers this game and we take care of the ball on offense, we should be riding home with a victory.
Absolutely. We'd love to see that. And then you never know. We may be playing at home next week, but we got to take care of tonight's contest. Let's get into their defense. What is it that they run? Because it looks like a 3-man front, and then you have an outside backer or defensive end that stands up. Tell me about their defense.
Yeah, they're 3-4 defensively. They'll have a outside backer walked up 9 times out of 10 to a tight end side. So usually get into a 4-2 box, and versus heavy sets, they'll get into an 8-9-man box. And we're going to use that to our advantage tonight. We'll get into some heavy personnel stuff and show heavy, and we may throw out of it. We may run out of it. It just depends on how they're going to line up to it and how well they play it. We got some misdirection things going into the playbook this week that we think is going to execute well and should hit well for us. I think that our guys are really well prepared going into this game. Their defense is, they're fast, they fly around, but I don't know if they're our fast.
Right.
They're a fast team, but I don't think they can compete with our speed, and we're going to have to use that to our advantage.
Yeah, that's definitely going to be a challenge for them. Like you mentioned, there are guys up front. That's usually number 24 that's walking up to the line of scrimmage. I notice most times on defense. Their linebacking core, they're all right. And then I know you're a secondary receiver guy. What are your thoughts on their secondary?
Yeah, they're a disciplined secondary for the most part. Number 4 is pretty much their lockdown corner over there on one side. The other side corner, number 20 is all right. Their safety 18 and 13, I believe, in the back end.
Yeah.
They're good players. They've done a great job this year. I think that there are some things we can exploit with them. As long as we can execute it, especially by us just creating separation and getting open. I think that we can do that. I think their best defensive players, in my opinion, is obviously number 4, their corner. But number 5 in the box at linebacker, he's a really good player. He reads and reacts really fast, really quick. So we got to make sure we climb to him with the O-line and make sure we get hands on him. If we do that, I think we'll be able to bust some runs and get open.
Right. And big thing on our end for tonight is team is relatively healthy. You don't have anybody out that's going to miss. You don't have, any lingering suspensions or anything like that. So, to be playing first week of the playoffs and you got your whole team healthy, that's a great thing. Bryce B is back in action, and hopefully, we'll see everybody that can play out there playing up in Tulsa. So just talk about having your whole team healthy heading into tonight's game.
Yeah, it's a huge plus. We lost Zion Burrs this week. He has turf toe, so he's been dealing with that, going to rehab, making sure he's getting that doctored up. We're gonna hopefully take care of business tonight, and hopefully he'll try to come back next week. And so we'll try to take that up. He's the only one on the injury report, though. I think that plays quite a bit. He's the only one. But it's a blessing, man. To go into week 11 healthy, and fully intact with nothing really lingering for the most part. It's a blessing for sure. Our kids is testament to our strength and conditioning program that we've implemented this year, and it's amazing. Our kids have bought in and they're ready to go.
All right, next question here. Not sure if you're aware, but the Oklahoman state paper has picked Cascia Hall to win 31-14. However, it's worked to our advantage. I recall a few times where the other team has been picked to win, but we've gone up there and pulled out the victory. So I know that's mainly for the fans and other media to talk about, but there's just something about being the underdog and going up and surprising opponents. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, in my opinion, we've been the underdog pretty much all 10 games this season. For the most part, we weren't supposed to win 5 games. When we did. So I'm just excited for the opportunity. I love being the underdog. It's a fun place to be. You get to shock some people. The good thing about it is our kids won't be shocked about it. Our kids aren't shocked about going and beating people that you weren't supposed to beat, or people said they weren't supposed to beat, because they know how good they are and they know what the preparation and the work that they put in. They understand that they're a good football team, a really good football team, and they have a chance to make a really good run.
All right, and it's a long trip to Tulsa, but not that long. It's 3 hours and change, a little over 3 hours. I looked it up on the Maps apps I use. It's a little more than 3 hours, and we'll talk about that here in just a moment for folks that are going to make that trip and attend the game. But give you a chance to final words for Warrior Nation before we go to break real quick.
Yeah, I mean, hey guys, come out and travel well, please. These kids deserve it. And they've earned a chance to compete in the playoffs, and we're going to be at Cascia Hall, and it's going to be a crazy environment. They're going to have a good old student section. From what I've heard from the kids, apparently their kids are going to bring basketballs, and they're apparently going to throw basketballs on the court, on the field after they supposedly win in their eyes. So. The good thing is there won't be any basketballs thrown on the court. You guys come and match that energy for the faithful ones that have been there week in and week out. We appreciate you guys. We just hope some more faces show up in the crowd and cheer these boys on.
Absolutely. I know we got a few Idabel adjacent folks that live in Tulsa. Hopefully they make that trip. But we're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we're going to talk about some of these area and district playoff games that are on the schedule for tonight. We'll be right back. You're listening to KBL Game Day right here on Idabel's First 96.7 KBEL. And I'm going to take a couple. Start. Basketballs, huh? Okay.
Yes, that's what they said, man. That's what the kids said.
Interesting.
Warrior Football, member FDIC.
Hey folks, it's Robert Williams here from James Hines Chevrolet in Brokenville. Have we missed your business in the past? If so, we want to change that. This month, during the Chevy Drives America event, we're pulling out all the stops that earn back your trust and business. From unbeatable deals to a hometown team that treats you right, now's the time to come back and see what you've been missing at James Hines Chevrolet, where value drives everything. Visit us online at jameshodgechevy.com.
Welcome back to KBL Game Day right here on Idabel's First 96.7 KBL. This is Cornelius Neal live here from First State Bank Studio. We got Coach Kincaid here with us, and we're going to get into these other matchups. Now, let's go ahead and throw this out here. The winner of our game will take on the winner of Plainview and Perkins Tryon. There is a possibility that if we win, Plainview wins, Plainview has to come here. So there is that opportunity to host a second round game at Warrior Nation Stadium. That would be a great thing here for this area. Would you think so, Coach?
Yes, sir. I mean, I think looking at it, last year Shakota was the 4 and upset Cascia Hall last year in this game, and I believe it was Plainview and Bristow last year, and Bristow actually upset Plainview. Shakota went to Plainview, or Shakota went to Bristow last year in the playoffs as a 4 and a 3 matchup, and I think that was because it was an even year. And now the odd year would put us playing home regardless next week, whether Perkins or Plainview won. I think we play at home regardless next week. So we win this one, we should be hosting a round 2 game, whether it's Plainview or Perkins. Obviously, Plainview would be a great. Great little storyline coming back.
Absolutely.
With Coach Pratt coming back to Idabel to play his former team, regardless of the circumstances, it is what it is. Our kids are going to be amped up, ready to go for that one. So, as they are tonight.
Yeah, doesn't matter. Let's get this win tonight, and then we can play at home next week. That'd be great to have here, another game at Warrior Nation Stadium. So, getting into these games that are being played tonight, you got Shakota at Inola. That'll be a pretty good matchup, as they like to run the ball with Jay Nellen, and then they can throw it. Cole Rowland, a really good runner, and he can get it done through the air as well. But they'll be on the road, so that'll be an interesting matchup. Now, this one, Jay at Lincoln Christian. I think they played last year, and Lincoln Christian ran away from them. I think they put up more than 60 in that contest. And then the other matchup out of our district, this should be a good one. Berry Hill making the trip over to Holland Hall. So any of those interest you?
Yeah, the Berry Hill Holland Hall game will be really, really fun to watch or to read about and see what the score is of that one. I think Berry Hill is one of the best teams in that Northeast district up there that we played or that we're matching up with up there. They took Cascia 35-21 last week. So, it'll be really interesting to see. I know Holland has been winning games, but, it hasn't been the prettiest of wins. Logan scoring 26, Stigler scoring 26 on them. I don't know if it's garbage time minutes or not for the most part, but, still interested to see some of those scores being put up on Holland Hall. So that game interests me a lot, to see what that final ends up being.
All right. And then here closer to home, we got, let's start off Wyandotte making the trip down to Bulldog Stadium to take on Valiant. Getting word that lots of folks are picking the road team to win. I'm understanding that Kenny Golston is not going to play tonight. He hurt his ankle in a couple of spots last week at home against Bayern. So that would definitely swing your momentum. And, if you're, somebody that picks games, that might swing things over towards the road team. I know Valiant's able to get it done in the air a little bit, and then the quarterback, he's not afraid to run the ball. So what kind of game plan Valiant's going to come up with if they don't have Kenny Golston in the lineup?
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see for sure. Hopefully Kenny's all right and he can play. Hopefully Valiant can get the dub without him if he doesn't, and can move on to the next round and get him back healthy. I would expect a lot of Brody Dory's tonight in the run game, and then hitting some of those athletes on the outside, Riker and the other kid over there. Yep, Trap. For the Bulldogs to hopefully come out with a victory.
All right, and then I forgot about this one. I actually skipped over it. Wagner making the trip down to Broken Bow. Wagner's been a power in Class 4A for several years. I know they've won the state title too here in recent years, but Broken Bow, they won their district. Congratulations going out to them. So it'll be a good chance for the Savages to show out in front of the home crowd. Do you know anything about Wagner right off the top of your head?
Not just seeing that Wagner, snuck into the playoffs as the 4 seed over there in that district. From talking to Coach Bean over there, he said that they're a really good 4 seed team. And so that they're going to have their hands full. I don't think that they'll have their hands full. I think Broken Bow wins that one handedly, but good luck to the Savages tonight. But that's a good Wagner team they're going to play.
Absolutely, and then Antlers making the trip up to Salina. Antlers is a 3 seed out of their district or the 4? I think they're 3.
They're 3, yes, sir.
So good luck to the Bearcats. And then finally, Hugo snuck into the playoffs. They beat Craig last week. They shut them out, and then things fell just right for them. They're in the playoffs. Congratulations to the Buffaloes and everybody up there. And they'll be in Tulsa as well. They will be taking on Metro Christian. And Metro Christian was one of the teams to knock off Cascia Hall earlier this season. So a tall task ahead for the Buffaloes. So your thoughts on that contest before we get you out of here?
Yeah, Metro Christian's a really, really explosive team. They're 2A1. I really think that even with Washington, I think that, they'd be my favorites to win it in 2A1 with Metro Christian winning it. They throw the ball around a lot. They've been really successful this season, had a really good year. That'd be my 2A1 pick to win it over Washington even this season.
All right, somebody has got to knock Washington off one of these years, and why not now? So, hey, we're going to get you out of here, and I know y'all will be taking off here in a couple of hours, and we will be as well. So, hey, We'll be back here after this break, and we're actually going to let the weather and the ONN news play here in just a minute, and then we'll be back with the game day info and forecast. You're listening to KBL Game Day right here on Idabel's First, 96.7 KBEL.
Appreciate it,
Appreciate you coming by.
Yes, sir.
And,
Y'all be careful getting up there.
Yes, sir.
Man.
Brought to you by Cellular Coverage when it matters most. Today, expect sunshine.
For those of you watching on Facebook, we'll be back with the game day info and forecast. We're just going to let this play out.
South winds around 10 miles per hour. And that's your Idabel's First KBEL weather forecast. I'm Morris Jackson. This is news from the Oklahoma News Network.
Actually, let's keep things moving here. We're going to keep things moving just a moment. Because this is 4 minutes. Pretty sure y'all want to hear the news, so we're going to go back on. Actually, welcome back to KBL Game Day right here on Idabel's First 96.7 KBEL. Let's keep things rolling here as we have the game day info and forecast. Definitely want to talk to the folks that plan on making that trip to Tulsa today. It's about 3 hour, 10-minute drive. Do allow for, stops and everything like that. And of course, you'll be on the Indian Nation Turnpike, also known as Highway 375. You don't have to worry about tolls now because it scans your license plate, and you'll get a nice little bill in the mail unless you have Pike Pass. So let's get into that. So visitors making that trip to the playoff game today, they are asked to use the Temple Israel parking lot due to construction on the home side. I did notice that in watching some of their film and stuff. So it looks like the press box is actually on the visitor side. That's what it will be. So there is a gate there for visiting fans. In case you need the address to Temple Israel, it is 2004 East 22nd Place in Tulsa. Punch that address in your Maps app, be it Waze or Google or whatever you use. You punch that into your phone, or if you have the vehicle that has all the maps and all that, that's what you're going to need to get to where you need to go in Tulsa. We posted this earlier this week. There is a link to get your tickets through GoFan.com that is available on the KBEL Sports Facebook page. You'll save a couple of bucks. If you buy your ticket online, it's $8.35. However, you can pay $10 at the gate. I think that's just about everywhere you would go. So same thing would apply in Broken Bow, also in Valiant. I know you can also buy your tickets online in Valiant. With it being the first weekend of the playoffs, all veterans will get into tonight's game for free with military ID. They are allowed to bring one guest. And here's your forecast. It's brought to you by Pond Cellular, when coverage matters most. Kickoff, clear skies and 70. Temperature will drop to about 66 by the time game ends, and about 62 by the time we get home from Tulsa, be it 1, 2 o'clock in the morning. So, hey, dress appropriately, red and black it out on the visitor side. And for those of you that are staying home, you can watch the game on Huddle. There is a link from Cascia Hall's athletics site. I'll make sure that that's on the KBEL Sports Facebook page. You can watch that on Huddle. I don't think there will be any announcers. So you can tune in to our broadcast here on Idabel's First 96.7 KBEL and get the full surround sound experience. Now, if you happen to have Roku on your TV, or if you just have a little streaming device there, look for the Team One Sports app. It is an extension of Huddle. You can find our game through that as well if you happen to have Roku. And once again, you can also listen to our game either on this station, Idabel's First 96.7 KBEL, or Q102 streaming option, if you happen to be on the road, KBEL967.com, that is also available. We'll play the interview with Coach Kincaid later on this evening, about 10 after 6. They'll take you right in the pregame from Ray Siegfried Stadium in Cascia Hall. Around 6:30, you'll have myself, you'll have Aaron Empson, and Lonnie Watson. Will be excited to bring you tonight's broadcast. Once again, winner of this game will get the winner of Perkins Tryon and Plainview. And we win, we're playing at home. That's the thing about it. So hopefully we see a lot of you in red and black in the stands. And that is going to do it. We're going to get out of here, going to get ready and make that trip north and heading into Tulsa. So we're going to get off here. And hey, thanks for tuning in. We're going to get you back to your regularly scheduled programming and tune in starting about 6 o'clock. And we'll have all your coverage right here on Idabel's First, 96.7 KBEL. We'll talk to you later this evening. There's that. And there's that. Man.